Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I'm a member of the committee that this would be coming back to. We had a hearing on the original version, and in fact, the hearing brought a lot of problems, not only with doing it statewide, but just the whole concept of should the legislature be arbitrarily deciding who should be on this board. And to have a new sub that does yet another try at this without really having experts offer any advice doesn't make a lot of sense. When we originally heard this, Mr. Speaker, there were a lot of groups that were testifying against this. Business, trades that get the skills are taught in the tech colleges, the tech college system itself. In fact, when you look at the entire sheet of who's for it and who's against it, there are two organizations that registered for, and almost every other organization registered against it. Because it's us deciding somehow, just very arbitrarily, what the best makeup is. Now, I think the gentleman from the 21st is sincere in trying to address what he sees as a problem, but this bill doesn't do that. And in the final hours, in the final day or days of session, it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense to try to rush something through simply to have something in place when I think a lot more has come to light, especially since we had this first before committee. When we had this before committee, no one had brought up the problem that we might have with the FCC license. And I think had that come up, we would have been able to ask far more extensive questions of our legislative council attorneys and other experts in this area. But this issue has come up since we've talked about it in committee. In fact, we never even had a vote in committee because they couldn't find a plurality of the committee to support it, to get it out of committee. Now, I know it's late, we've been up all night, but that means people on your side of the aisle, Mr. Speaker, had a problem with this bill as well, because otherwise it would have came through the committee. So this has got a bipartisan problem in the makeup of the committee. And again, not an attack on the gentleman from the 21st at all. It's just we're doing this at the very end of session, and problems have come to light that we had no idea of whatsoever in this committee. And I think some of the concerns that we have on this side of the aisle, as we look at the very, very tough year tech colleges have had in Wisconsin, I think it's the largest cuts that we've seen to the tech college, 30% of the state share of funding that actually goes towards job training. At a time we have more people than ever out of work in Wisconsin who need to get retrained for new jobs, is a huge concern to employers and others in this community. And, you know, myself being an employer, I have hired people who have gotten graphic design degrees from the Madison College and Madison Area Technical College because they have one of the best programs around. In fact, it's one of the easiest qualifiers for me when I see the resumes come in when I have a job position. When I know they've gone through that program, I know not only are they good artists, but more importantly, they understand the pragmatic, practical skills I need in my business. So this will get your attention. I can make money. All right, so we're talking job creators, right? We're having a little bonding moment right now. All right, so it is a valuable program, and I rely on it because I know the quality and the success of the program. The problem is if we come in, and face it, Mr. Speaker, none of us are experts in this area, and we come in and try to decide how to make this new makeup of a board, and we find out along the way that we're risking a public television license. I mean, I guess, first of all, I'd be worried about the people who are mad that we're losing Sesame Street. I'd be more worried about the people who are mad that we're losing Doctor Who, which I'm guessing, Mr. Speaker, you were probably one of those guys in your life. I'm just guessing. Doctor Who. You just look like a Doctor Who guy, Mr. Speaker. You know, when you don't sleep for this many hours, people look like things. You look like a Doctor Who guy. Or the gentleman who's married to the lieutenant governor, I know how much he loves fishing. They have fishing programs on public TV. I wouldn't want to piss him off because he can't watch fishing. Maybe a different word. Oh, I heard a tisk. I'm sorry. I wouldn't want to. tick him off. Thank you. Shucks. How's that? Thank you. Because of that. So what I'm saying is a lot has come to light since we've had this committee original hearing on the original bill, which is quite different than what's before us. We are now taking a giant unknown risk on what could happen to our public TV license. We've got business and labor and educational experts all registering against this because they see landmines in what we're putting together. And again, I don't fault the gentleman from the 21st at all. I think he sees a problem that he's trying to figure out how he can fix it in his mind, and he came up with this solution. But again, I think a lot of these things have happened since he had a chance to put this together. Generally, when this happens, Mr. Speaker, I don't care what party's in charge, first thing that comes to my mind on the last day or two of session, I would want to have a Ledge Council Study Committee. And you know what? You all control that process. You can put who you want on, but you can also put some experts on, and we can actually do this right. And if we do this right, we can have a much better final product. So rather than trying to move ahead in a somewhat hastily done way, in the final hours of session, when most of our members have gotten either no sleep or very little sleep, including yourself, a Doctor Who watcher, I think we need to just take another look at this. And I think when you listen to the gentleman from Racine County who raised serious concerns about what's happening with our tech college system in general, and we're hearing it from employers and we're hearing it from the industry, that they have concerns that we don't have the resources to job train and retrain. That is when we need to do something. So, Mr. Speaker, I would hope that we would look at this, and as a member of the committee, refer it back to committee. My advice, actually, even beyond that, is let's form a Ledge Council Study Committee. I'm sorry? You could be on it. Yes, you could be on it. And the gentleman next to you definitely should be on it because he's also a member of the committee and I think an all-around good guy. So let's do the right thing. Let's take our time. Let's not try to rush this through in the final hours of session. And I would hope that we would consider not passing this on. We're not killing the gentleman from the 21st idea. We're just saying let's take the proper time it takes to find out what we're all jeopardizing if we move forward in this manner. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.